Jared, thanks for being here with us today on the Charity Charge Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Just really appreciate you and give a shout out to our friend Brant Barton, who had put us in touch. He told me a little bit about your organization and happy to, bounce around a bunch of things in this interview. I know we were chatting a little bit before I hit record, but yeah, just to get started, can you tell me a little bit about, I want to get into the why and I want to get into the how, but just for the audience that's listening, because when Brant was telling me about like the problem you're solving and what you're doing, can you walk us through a little bit of what $4 is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So $4 is a nonprofit organization. We eliminate medical debt, and we do that primarily by enforcing hospital financial assistance policies, which I can get into what those are. But yeah, basically, medical debt's the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. 1 out of 4 people just neglect care because of fear of the cost. There's, I think, $220 billion of outstanding medical debt in America. It's a huge problem.
How big did you say approximately?
220 billion. Wow. So it is, a lot of times people, what is that stat? 54% of Americans can't afford the $500, emergency expense. Well, what is that emergency expense most of the time? It's a medical bill. It's an emergency that comes up. So medical debt is kind of that thing that is most likely to push you into a cycle of poverty or put you in a tight spot financially. So I watched my own family go through it and started an organization that tried to help people. So that's what $4 is all about.
Well, and tell me something, when Brant had talked to me about some of the statistics, is this about right that of all hospitals in the United States, 75% are nonprofits?
I think it's about 65%, but yeah.
Okay, cool. So, the majority of hospitals rather are nonprofits.
They are tax exempt. They are. We use the term nonprofit loosely when we're talking about hospitals.
Walk us through how this became part of the law, and then maybe on a practical use case, maybe a success story that you've seen here.
So when the Affordable Care Act passed, it required nonprofit hospitals, which is most in America, to provide community benefit. So the deal is you get to be tax exempt hospital, and in exchange, you will provide community benefit. And how do they do that? Charity care, by providing free or reduced care for people that meet certain income requirements. So if you are within a certain income range and you go to a nonprofit hospital, they would be legally required to either reduce or waive the medical bill because of these programs. And the problem is that the law is very vague. It says, hospitals, you have to have these programs. They need to be widely publicized and widely available. So a lot of hospitals have a poster in the ER and maybe an application hidden somewhere on their website. So when I found out about this, I thought, okay, well, this is crazy. I've never heard about this. This is the best kept secret, and started trying to help people access these programs.
How did you learn about it?
So I started $4 for Portland. I grew up in Portland, Oregon, been in the Pacific Northwest my whole life. And it originally was a crowdfunding platform. It was a way to help people in Portland pay their medical bills. So I would, go to coffee shops, breweries, music venues, do these small grassroots events, fundraise, pool the money together, and then pay medical bills for someone in our community.
How long ago did this, in its earliest iteration, it's 2025. When did you get started?
So officially launched 2015.
In that
$4 for Portland
iteration. Wow. Okay, cool.
And I did that for all the way until 2019. And that is when I met Eli, who Eli is our general counsel and head of policy now. And he was an attorney at the time. And he was like, hey, have you ever heard of these hospital charity care policies? And I was like, no, I haven't. But we started meeting up and looking into these policies, and the realization of, I have been paying medical bills for low-income families in Portland that all would have been eligible to get their medical bills waived. And I just did not know about the programs. They didn't know about the programs. And hospitals sure as They don't tell you. So we were a little frustrated.
I'm curious on this. A lot of things that are coming out now. I'm curious on the hospital side. Do they? It seems to me that your platform and service could be solving a problem for the hospital. What happens to them if they don't meet the threshold or the requirements by the law?
Oh, what happens to the hospital?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay.
That's kind of the problem. I mean, let's see here. They could get, bad articles written about them. They could. I mean, the IRS would be the one that would be enforcing this program.
Got it. So it's a law, but it's not really being enforced. Theoretically, They could lose their nonprofit status or face lawsuits, things of that sort. Got it. Okay. And then approximately, this iteration you've now been running since 2019?
Officially, I'll say 2021 is when $4 really, really started enforcing hospital charity care policies nationwide.
Awesome. And so how has the shift happened once you've been able to do that? What are some of the successes, and also kind of what are some of the challenges?
So 2021, we're right in the middle of COVID. I was at my office one night, and my little sister was like, "You got to get on TikTok. You got to tell people, what charity care is on TikTok," because I'm trying to spread the word. So what had ended up happening is I started helping people in Portland get their medical bills waived. And in a few months, I gotten like $1 million of medical debt to be cleared for people. So I'm realizing like this is a real thing and no one knows about it. And how do I get it out there? So I'm trying to talk to journalists and news stations and just not having a lot of success. So I listen to my little sister. I post my first TikTok video ever. And it's just 60 seconds of, hey, this is what charity care is. This is how you can find your hospital's policy. If you need help, shoot me a message. I'm thinking 50 people might see this. Video goes crazy viral. It gets 30 million views and we're cooking, right? And when I say we, like $4 was just me at the time. So I'm freaking out. I'm running around trying to figure out how am I going to respond to all of these people. So through that, we've created this. So
are you seeing this screen share?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm on the site right now. What seems to be, and I know maybe I'm bouncing around a little bit here, you've really figured out a tech-enabled way to help people with this process, because I can't imagine I actually can, just even in my day-to-day. I mean, I was just I had to get 2 different labs done yesterday, 2 different MRIs, myself personally, and I still can't believe the amount of paperwork just to check in and, the non-digital nature of everything. So this looks like you really helped make it simple for people to find this, figure out if they qualify, submit it. Can you walk us through like the process if you're an individual, kind of what they're inputting, and then what your technology and organization is doing, either, through tech or maybe even kind of manually behind the scenes to, holy cow, man. Look at that. $87 million.
That is the amount of medical debt we've been able to alleviate for people. So we created a database of every hospital in the country because none of this is standardized. And nonprofit, for-profit hospitals, they both have charity care policies. It's just nonprofit hospitals are required to have them. So we got 8,000 hospitals. We got all of their charity care policy data, which really what hospitals want to know is, who are you? Who do you live with? And how much money do you make? That's pretty much it. So we created this database and we built a tool where a patient can put in their household size, their income, what hospital, and how old the bill is. And it will tell them immediately if they're eligible for their hospital charity care policy. So that's kind of how we started it. Just being able to tell people, hey, you're eligible. And then we can kind of walk you through the application process. But there's 8,000 hospitals, which means there's 8,000 applications, so they're all different, whatever, trying to find these applications. Over time, we found all of the applications and we digitally mapped them. So you can fill it out on your phone, tablet, computer. you type in your first name and it's going to automatically map it into the correct hospital policy. So now we've pretty much completely automated the whole process for the patient, where they can see if they're eligible, fill it out on their phone, it ships to the hospital, and we advocate on their behalf. So most of the application stuff is automated, and then the follow-up, that's where our patient advocates have to put in some work, where calling the hospitals, calling the patient, trying to get a determination on this. Is it approved, denied? Do we need more information? Whatever. So that is kind of what we do. We're a team of about 18 now. So we've got, I think, 10 to 12 full-time patient advocates. And this is what they're doing. We're submitting about, 1,800 applications a month. And we, let's see, it's May 1st. So we broke a record in April. We eliminated $6.9 million in medical debt in the month of April.
Do you have an earned revenue model that's a component of this? How does your organization keep afloat to run the operations and pay those 18 people and other expenses, of course?
Yeah, great question. No earned revenue model. We've tried out a few, not successfully. So we are fully funded through philanthropy. All the stuff that we do is funded through donations, either through individuals or corporations, foundations, grants.
Have you found a path that if you take the breakdown of the corporate, individuals, and foundations, is it an even mix, or is there a high percent that's any one of those three?
Much higher on the foundation side, which I'm trying to change.
Okay, got it. Yeah, to diversify. What kind of foundations have been shown interest in this?
$4 was pretty lucky. After our viral moment, we got into a few nonprofit accelerator programs, which I did not know existed. So we have had one of them was called Fast Forward, and they are really into the tech space. And then the other one also plays in the tech space as well. So we've been funded through Wood Next Foundation. So Anthony Wood is the founder of Roku. A guy that has a foundation, Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn. And then there's some, local foundations, Murdoch Trust here in the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of split up, but we have.
Do you have those kind of connections in your network, or did they come to you? How were you able? Because I have so many more questions about the mission and how it's individually helping. What you're doing is incredible. A lot of our audience, that listen to this podcast, we work with about 3,000 nonprofits across the country. And so, they're obviously interested in how do we, they'll have a completely different mission than yours for sure. And kind of services that they provide, but they're interested in fundraising. How do they diversify their revenue? How do they grow their revenue? Those are some stellar, names you just dropped. How did those come about? And how did you build those relationships?
Yeah. So, we did really well in these accelerator programs because, and I think that this is maybe the harsh reality of philanthropy sometimes, is our impact is so wildly clear. If you give me $1, I will eliminate $25 of medical debt, and I will be able to show you the family that we helped and the amount of debt and the hospital and the state. It is very measurable. Where when you're doing these, Shark Tank style pitches, that speaks pretty well. We have direct impact. It's not a hope. It's not maybe we'll be able to do this. So we did really well with that. And I think that played really well with tech. It scales, we can help a lot of people. It's a big bang for your buck. And I think that there was a couple people that were early on at LinkedIn, and I just kept hearing, Reid would love this. So then eventually got connected to his people. And I'm not talking to Reid Hoffman, I'm, talking to, so it's, and then same kind of thing. I met the woman that runs Wood Next Foundation and really loved what we were doing. So, and, funders talk, right? I think that once they find something they really like, they obviously have friends that are looking to give away money as well. So that's kind of how we got plugged into that tech space. And then obviously fast forward, like tons and tons of connections in the tech space. We've gotten money from, Twilio. We've gotten money, for a handful of San Francisco Bay Area companies.
That's awesome. And how, what has it been like on the tech side? I mean, did you have a technical background? Were you able to recruit in a CTO?
Yeah, no background on really anything from me.
Because you must have there's a lot of tech going on here. You're talking about these thousands of hospitals. You're talking about thousands of visitors to your site every month. You're processing, at any given time was hundreds or maybe thousands of applications.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things to sort through.
Yeah, that was a challenge when we started, was trying to figure out what does the tech stack look like. We use HubSpot for like our kind of holds everything for us. And
this podcast is now sponsored by HubSpot.
Yeah.
We just switched to them as well. It's kind of funny to do that. So yeah, we made a big conversion. Okay, so you're using HubSpot. That's cool. What are other? I love this train of thought too, because we have nonprofits that ask us like, what, even if they're not proprietary, what are kind of tech tools that you found to be helpful?
Yeah, we just started, Frankenstein together this thing because, HubSpot wasn't able to do everything we want to. So we use a text service. We use that program that maps the PDF applications. We have, a handful of different things that we've kind of connected. So I met a woman that was doing a similar type of thing with applications, but it was more on the pharmaceutical side, trying to help people find affordable drugs. Mm-hmm. And so she had a lot of experience in simplifying application processes. So Michelle is incredible and came on as like a contractor because we didn't need a full-time CTO. And that's kind of how we started with that. So definitely not. I wasn't over here building out anything. I had to go and find people.
Got it. Take me back to the hospitals. You may have already said this, but apologize if I overlooked it before. What is it, a percent of revenue or a dollar amount that the hospital is required to subsidize if it's, kind of your system finds the match?
So you're saying like, is there a minimum that hospitals have to give out in charity care?
Correct.
So sometimes states will have like a minimum, but as far as like there's a lot that I can say here. I would say no. Hospitals every 3 years do something called a community needs assessment, and they will go through and they will say, okay, well, like what's the cost of living? How much does a home cost? What's the average wage? All of the different things. And then they will create their charity care policy based off that. So a very simple example of a policy here in the Pacific Northwest, they will say, we will waive 100% of your medical bill if you are at or below 300% of the federal poverty guidelines. So what does that mean? It means that if you're a single, you can make about $45,000 a year gross annual income and be eligible. If you're a family of four, you can make just under like $100,000. And you can be eligible for some type of discount. And then they might have a sliding scale that goes up to 400%. Mm-hmm. But that's it. It's not like there's not a pile of money that, we ran out of charity care. It's like, if you're eligible, you should get this. And obviously, the hospitals have people that are doing the calculations on how generous their policy can be.
Yeah, so that's what I'm not connecting the dots on. We talked about how this was a part of the Affordable Care Act, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then that it doesn't seem that there's strong oversight by the government to enforce this.
Mm-hmm.
These hospitals on their own, each individually sort of every 3 years make an assessment and have their own somewhat unique to that hospital's stance on it and kind of how they want to operate it. Someone comes across your site, is made aware of it, has a bill, they submit the information, your organization, potentially an advocate, get involved, and help figure out and kind of submit the paperwork and whatnot. Why then would that nonprofit, what if they decline? Are they held accountable if there's a high decline rate? Like, what if they just say, no, we don't? Basically, why do they follow through if they don't actually? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say hospitals don't like bad press.
Okay.
There's that. And then also,
so there's a pretty high, I mean, you're getting the dollars. Well, let me ask it this way. So the raw dollars are impressive for sure, right? That you're doing. What's the approval rate? By and large, if it meets the criteria, are you seeing these being approved?
Yeah. So we have our data and we're trying to improve this. We are getting about 37% approved. 50%, no response.
Wow.
So, but that could be no response from the patient or no response from the hospital. So $4 has probably alleviated an additional $100 million of medical debt. It's just, and as crazy as it sounds, there are patients that we help and we get their medical debt waived and they just don't tell us about it. So unfortunately, we're only tracking impact, or maybe fortunately, we're only tracking impact that we know. So why would hospitals follow through with this? In Washington State, just a couple years ago, they were suing patients and sending them to collections for patients that they knew were eligible for these programs. So the Attorney General of Washington State sued the biggest hospital system in Washington, and they had to pay out like $180 million to patients that they pretty much screwed. So there is some legal type of angle here as well, when it's like, hey, you are billing patients that you know are eligible, and you are a nonprofit. It's like, it's terrible press. There's lawsuits. There's, and if you look at it, there's a lot of articles coming out and a lot of data coming out saying, hey, these hospitals are not earning their tax exempt status. And that's kind of like, that's what we're here to say. It's like, yeah, we know this. This is what we've been saying.
I have something that's on my mind, or that I'm thinking of. Maybe you guys have pursued this, and then perhaps if you haven't, what you have is working. So probably just makes sense we could talk about ideas all day long, to make sense with what happens. I wonder if there's an earned revenue model for you to have a B2B side of this organization where, you have this real example that you could use as a real life selling point, but pain point to put in front of other hospitals that they don't want to get, that they're going after, instead of going after, where you could have a sort of hospital side of software that you could sell in, where it could upload and it could screen out for them all of the patients that have outstanding medical debt. And it would tell them how many and who they are. And then through your system or that, it could auto send them out. So basically, instead of getting individuals from like a B2C side that need to come to your website and be aware of $4.org, it might be like this white label where the site, have you ever explored anything like that?
Yeah. So a couple things on that. I love this conversation because it's like more in the weeds, which usually people are at, like, which I appreciate.
I also hate it. I mean, look, as I've been running Charity Charge. I was in concept phase of, which basically means I had no clue what I was doing for 2 years. But this June will mark 9 years that we've, been up and running, generating revenue, all that good stuff. And there's a million ideas, but you got to like pick a couple and just do those. So.
No. I love it. I mean, one, you're thinking, so there's what you are talking about.
You go to another hospital. You're like, hey, this other group got sued. You don't want to get sued. We have a piece of software that your administrator, your hospital is in charge of this, or whoever the right selling point is. You can log into a portal. It can sync with your database and system. It'll auto scan through, use whatever technology, AI. It'll spit out, hey, of 1,000 patients that have medical debt, here's 400 that, could be eligible. I just rip it again. I'm excited for you. Maybe you don't want to do this, but this could be cool.
So I spent all of last year going to hospitals and trying to help them with their financial assistance. Like exactly this. It was, hey, you're doing a terrible job.
This could be like charity. Mr. Smith goes to Washington, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's interesting because this is a huge administrative burden on the hospitals. And hospitals are stuck in the 80s. I mean, if you were to call most hospitals and say, hey, I would like to apply for charity care, what do I do? They would most likely send you a packet in the mail and then tell you to fax or mail it back. So like that is how hospitals are operating right now. And we were basically saying, hey, we can give you like a white label type thing where it is just our screener, exactly that you pulled up and shared just a few minutes ago. And you can just lead patients through our platform, but it can look like your website. And that was one way. None of the hospitals took us up on that. But what another thing, and something that you're kind of getting at, is called presumptive eligibility. So there is software put out by Experian and TransUnion and some of the credit bureaus where they're saying you can pre-screen these patients based off their spending habits, based off their credit score, based off their like all of these different things. And if a patient comes in, we can just tell you if they're eligible up front. And we are trying to actively, I mean, this is like we're getting into some policy work now where we're advocating for hospitals like you have to screen patients before you can bill them. Because most of the time patients leave the hospital without any knowledge of these programs at all.
I love where you need go upstream too. I mean, you've thought of this one. No, well, I mean, that's really cool. Yeah.
And that's what I mentioned earlier. I've been on the road. So on Monday we were in Austin, Texas, because we have a charity care bill.
I'm in Austin.
So I met up with Brant when I was there.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I just missed you.
I will be back. I will be back many a time. So we've got Texas is where we see the biggest need. And it's not even close. Most applications, biggest bills, longest wait times, all of it. So we have a charity care bill in Austin that would require Texas hospitals to screen patients for charity care before sending them to collections or billing them. So I was there giving testimony and fighting with the Texas Hospital Association. So
wow, that's amazing. What do you have a need to continue? I mean, you want to get more awareness because one of the do you collaborate? We work with, this is just off the top of my head, but some introductions we could make. Have you ever heard of the nonprofit organization? They have a national and then they have independent sister 501c3s called Family Promise. FamilyPromise.org. And then again, there'd be maybe 200 or so family promises in different states or regions. They help families that are dealing with homelessness in a variety of ways, right? This would be an amazing resource that they need to be telling all of their organizations about. And I'm happy to connect you with them. Both the national to their, it's kind of interesting. Like, and maybe it's not right or wrong. And I wonder how controversial I want to get, but I'll say about them, they do an incredible job at national of having a really great relationship with their kind of sister 501c3s and sharing tools, best practices, resources, etc.
Yeah, I would love that. We have, if you go to dollar4.org/partner, we have tons of organizations that will just complete a form that allows them to create a custom URL, dollar4.org/promise or whatever they want it to be. And then they could literally send out to every single person that they serve. So Leukemia LLS, Leukemia Lymphoma Society does this.
Yes.
They send thousands and thousands. If you go to dollar4.org/LLS, their logo's on it, our logo's on it, and then they just use it as a referral code. And then we track all of the data and we tell them, okay, this is how many patients we're helping. These are the people we've been able to eliminate. This is how much medical debt, blah, blah, blah.
This is incredible. We're going to do this too, because we can make those direct, like you can do this with them and you should, but we could put this in our newsletter as well and some other stuff about it. I mean, yeah, this is really cool. I'm on the partner page. Yeah, go ahead. I'm using this new software. So let me screen. Someday I'll have my own Jamie, like Rogan.
Yeah.
I'm not there right now. Yeah, I see this partner page for sure.
So yeah, if you go and put in, if you're a nonprofit, if you're a nonprofit and you're serving low middle income people like, you should be telling them about this. I mean, this is something that churches should have, other nonprofits should have.
Jared, we work with probably at least 500, probably 800, 900 churches at Charity Charge too. So for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I tell people all the time at churches, I'm like, there is probably millions of dollars in medical debt sitting in your congregation every single Sunday, and you have no idea, you don't have resources to help it. Like, just send them over. Send them over. You know,
you are really, what you've done is incredible, but I could tell this organization is about to go bonkers. I mean, it's really, because I hadn't heard of it. Like, not that it's me, but like you're just getting started in many ways. This is really cool.
Yeah, I think we're still, we're still, it still feels we're, very like startup kind of thing, but I do feel like we're starting to hit our momentum and scale, and people are starting to pay attention to medical debt as an issue.
That's what I mean. What I'm saying is a positive thing, but you're always going to probably feel that way, because as you grow, you're going to always have new challenges and things to try to figure out. How do you run kind of the governance of this organization? What kind of board structure do you have? You have just a general board?
Yeah, general board. And I think that's something that we could probably work on. I think that as we grow, we just are about to release a 4-year growth plan. And we're trying to raise $20 million over the next 4 years. We're a $2 million organization right now. We're small. But we've got, there's no lack of need. And there's a lot of this policy work, just like we're doing in Texas. We got a bill passed in Oregon that did the exact same thing. It required hospitals to screen patients before billing them. And like, we would like to not have to exist. $4 should not have to exist. This should be on the hospitals. We shouldn't have to enforce policies that hospitals are required to have. So that's kind of like the big vision. And I think that, fundraising is going to be a challenge as we grow, especially because, we don't have a revenue model. It is all through philanthropy. And, I'm not going to charge patients to help them. Right. So it's I think that will be a challenge as we grow.
Have you ever had any of these hospitals donate?
No.
Okay. I was just curious about that.
It's it's a question we get asked a lot, is like, do hospitals hate you? And it's really funny because I would say no, generally. Like, we're actually helping them out in a way, because we give them applications that are like complete and look nice and like you can read them and all that. But when it comes to this policy work, they're not super stoked about what we're trying to do. So it's a little bit of a, and it's, I think it'd be bad PR if hospitals were to kind of talk bad about us because we're helping patients access their own program. Right.
I appreciate you sharing that. Is there anything else we missed that you would like to talk about? The organization, or just kind of, ways people can get involved and support, donate?
I always tell people, if you have a medical bill, if you know someone that has specifically a hospital bill, please go to $4.org. We are a free resource. If you connect with this mission, obviously you can check us out, donate $4.org/donate, spread the word. There's a lot of people in your network that need this resource.
Awesome. And let me close out, try to be a little cheesy here, but is there, what's the best advice you've received that's helped you, get through the challenges and grow this organization? Best, or just any kind of top advice you've gotten from any mentors or books you've read that's been helpful as you reflect kind of on the years and the challenges? And, if it doesn't come top of mind, feel free to take a second.
I think that I was always really, really worried about, how am I going to raise money? In which it is, it's a challenge, but I always tell people now, like, how much value can you provide? How much free value can you provide? Because if you are out here and you are eliminating medical debt, or you are helping families get, diapers, or you are, whatever the organization is, and you are trying to learn from the people that you are supporting, and you are trying to create as much value to them as possible, people will find you. Donors will find you. People will talk about it. So it's like focus on the impact. And I think that the rest kind of comes from there.
Awesome. I really appreciate what you're doing. And thank you so much for being on the Charity Charge.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Today. Jared Walker, you go by executive director or CEO?
Executive director, founder, whatever.
Jared Walker, founder of $4. Thank you so much for being on this episode of the Charity Charge Show.